I'm not going to tell you to not call your crush or your mother-in-law, but there are some numbers you definitely should not dial. Whether it's an eerie response, a cry for help, or just someone counting, here's 10 numbers you shouldn't call. A red room is an internet myth, which is reportedly a room in which members of the dark web can watch people getting tortured, or in some cases, worse. One number that has been linked to these rooms is 408-634-2806, which according to legend might lead to your physical location being tracked down and you ending up on the receiving end of one of their live streams. There's no certainty to the legitimacy of these claims, but with the dark web, you never know what people can and will do. If you're asking me, put this number on the do not call list. It's better to be safe than sorry. If you know how to translate from binary to text, I would strongly suggest avoiding the phone number 828-756-0109. If you end up dialing the number, you'll hear a litany of disturbing and ear-splitting sounds before a man will appear, giving you a message in binary, which if you translate it, is revealed to be the word death. All that's known is the area code traces back to Marion, North Carolina. There's no explanation who made it, why it was made, and what eerie purpose it serves. All we know is that it's horrifying. If you're a fan of Stranger Things, you might recognize the number 628-625-8313 as Murray Bauman's, but what happens if you call it? Set up prior to the release of Season 4, you'll be directed to Bauman's answering machine, along with hints as to what you can anticipate in the yet-to-be-released season. There's no guarantee that the number will remain up in the long term, but for now it remains a fun little Easter egg for big fans of the show, so call it if you aren't afraid of the upside down. In Japan, there's a popular legend surrounding something known as Doppelganger numbers, in which if you dial it, you'll be conversing with your own doppelganger. Talking with one might even lead to your own loss of life. While there's a bunch available over there, there's one that's made its way over to the west. That is 909-390-0003. The way these numbers work is usually just by echoing back what you're saying, but that doesn't make it any less creepy to listen to, unless you want to test the sound quality of your phone, in which I might actually suggest dialing this number. If you haven't seen the documentary Wrinkles the Clown, be aware, because spoilers lie ahead. Since the 2010s, the number 407-734-0254 has been associated with the Wrinkles character, who if you call the number, will reportedly come to your house and scare your children for you. Actual video footage was released in 2014, and until recently, his identity has remained anonymous. But the crazy thing? Wrinkles himself was never a real person, just a construct created to scare children worldwide, as revealed in the documentary that came out in 2019. But that doesn't mean you still can't call the number, and if you do, maybe Wrinkles will pick up. He reportedly still does to this day. Booth World Industries remains one of the scariest stories on the internet. Famous from the popular story on the No Sleep subreddit, calling 630-296-7536 will let you know that you've reached Booth World Industries, and your number has now been logged and traced. They'll also say a service representative will be with you shortly for remodeling. While only some people have gotten a call back, the founder of the number, Christopher Bloodworth, has said he enjoys responding to everyone who calls it, so you might get a call back. Just don't read the lore behind the number if you want to go to sleep tonight. When you call 207-404-2604, you'll be horrified at what you hear on the other end. At first, you'll hear a teenage girl's voice on the other end of the line before all kinds of mayhem begins, resulting with what sounds like the girl being shoved in a closet. Luckily, this was just a promotional stunt for the 2013 remake of Carrie, but the fascinating part about this is it isn't just the first phone call, because it doesn't end there. Following your first conversation, Carrie's mother would call you. Then after that, you'd receive another phone call. While the movie didn't do tremendously, you really have to applaud how far the advertising team went. Need some advice on your putting, or want to check who's at the top of the leaderboard? I would suggest against calling 1-800-GOLF-TIP. Instead of some advice on your game, you'll just hear a man reciting numbers 1 through 10 before a siren goes off in the background. Funny enough, during the 80s and 90s, the number was used as a hotline for the PGA, but since then, it has become vacant, leading to the mystery behind its current use. But like I said earlier, I wouldn't suggest calling it nowadays, as it's changed hands yet again and is now rather NSFW, to put it bluntly. It doesn't really have to do much with golf. If you love nonsense that will have you scratching your head, you should call 646-868-1844. The number is based out of White Plains, New York, and upon calling it, you'll hear a bunch of nonsense followed by an answer line beep. But if you're using a mobile phone, the weirdness doesn't end there. You'll receive text messages containing a whole bunch of nonsense. While the texts themselves are likely auto-generated, it still raises the question of why was this even created in the first place? And what on earth does any of it mean? I guess we'll never know. Our last number is just as mysterious as the previous, if not even more. 508-690-6143 is a Massachusetts-based number, which when you dial, you'll hear mysterious honking sounds, a couple crashing and buzzing sounds, a whole bunch of loud static, and then the familiar, "We're sorry, but this number is no longer in service." The mystery of this number has never been discovered, and as of last month, calling the number only asks for your name and number, meaning it's likely changed hands. Whatever the backstory is behind it, it still leaves me too scared to even think about giving it a call. That's our list of 10 phone numbers you should never call. Are you brave enough to give any of these a ring? Let us know in the comments down below. And unless I'm stuck on dial tone, I'll see you in the next one.